times of Paul Bunyan. Scene 1, small town in Maine, early 1900s.
Long ago in a quaint Maine town, an extraordinary baby was born. When he was nearly 2 weeks old, he weighed more than 100 pounds. For breakfast each morning, he ate 5 dozen eggs, 10 stacks of potatoes, and half a barrel of mush made from an entire stack of cornmeal. The parents cherished their baby Paul. However, when he was 9 months old and started crawling, that's when the real conflict began.
Hey, Mr. Bunyan, what are you going to do with that baby? Just yesterday, he crawled across your yard, and the whole town shook violently. People thought it was a huge earthquake.
And when you attempted to take him swimming in the lake, splashing nearly flooded all the houses along the lake shore.
Oh dear, I guess he's getting too big for our village. I will try to find another place for him to grow up. Oh, his mother's going to be so heartbroken, but I guess that's what everyone's best interest is. Such a shame. So Paul's parents hauled to the enormous toddler to a deserted cave in the deep Maine woods, far away from civilization, and said a tearful goodbye. They left him with just an axe, a knife, and a fishing pole.
Scene 2, in the deep Maine woods, 20 years later.
Paul made the best of his situation and he quickly learned how to hunt and fish quite well. He took care of himself during the harsh summers and unbearably hot summers. However, nothing prepared him for the fierce winter storm that occurred on his 21st birthday. He looked out the frosted window and discovered a great blue snow had fallen. And from that snow, Paul heard a peculiar noise drifting across the land. He started out to look for the source of it.
Who's there? Where are you?
Ma! Ma!
What is that? I can't see you. Oh wait, I think. All of a sudden, Paul noticed a blue tail peeking out of a snow bank. He yanked on it and pulled out popped the biggest baby ox on earth, except for the white horns. It was as blue as the snow on the ground. Paul brushed it off, warmed it up, and decided to name his new friend Babe.
Scene 3, Midwest forest and land, next 10 years.
From then on, Paul and Babe were inseparable. Babe grew so fast that Paul liked to close his eyes for a minute, count to 10, then look and see how much Babe had grown. Sometimes he would even be a whole foot taller. Paul was growing stronger too. As he noticed pioneers moving towards the deep woods, he decided he could assist them. He decided to invent the art of logging and set off to the clear land for their house in town.
Babe, stand back! I'm gonna knock this forest down! Timber!
Mom! Wow!
Sure enough, Paul was able to take down a complete line of gigantic trees in one swing of his mighty axe. He decided that he would need a dependable river and a logging camp. He packed up his things, and he and Babe started off for Onion River in Minnesota. Since Babe and Paul could cover a whole mile in a solitary step, it took them only a week to travel there. Once there, Paul hired a man named Shot Gunderson to be his logging camp foreman. The two quickly became fast friends and were good at solving the daily challenges life at a flourishing logging camp would present to them.
Scene 4, at the Onion River logging camp in Minnesota.
When they set off the first logs into the Onion River, the men noticed their first problems.
Look at how crooked this river is, Paul. If we send these logs down there, they're going to get extremely stuck. I got an awesome idea. Babe, come here for a minute. Paul took a lengthy rope and tied one end around Babe and the other around the end of the winding river. He gave Babe a gentle slap on the rump, and he managed to pull out all the kinks of the river until it was as straight as a gun barrel. They were able to send so many logs down the river that they grew to be the most successful logging camp in the entire world. Paul hired over 1,000 lumberjacks that were over 10 feet tall and could pop at least 6 buttons off of their shirt. This quickly created the next challenge for Paul.
Hey Paul, my cook isn't able to keep feeding all of these men. They're getting grumpy because they're so hungry. Any suggestions?
I'm going to build you a new griddle the size of an ice skating rink. We'll first start a forest fire underneath it, and we'll have the cook straps blocks of butter to their feet to grease the thing.
Perfect. Good thinking. Things continued to run smoothly at the camp until the year of the hard winter came. Shot came to Paul with a new problem.
Boss, we got trouble again. The weather's so cold that the woodsmen can't hear any of my orders. They just freeze there, right in the air, and hang there, stiff as icicles. Let's get Babe to gently haul your frozen words away and carefully store them until spring. Sure enough, when spring arrived, Shot's orders started throwing and all throughout the vast woods. People could suddenly hear his orders. It got a little confusing at times, telling the difference between the previous and new orders, but they survived and the camp continued to flourish.
Well, there's an abundant amount of stories to tell about Paul, Babe, and the Big Onion Lumber Company. For many years, old lumberjacks would gather around warm fires and reminisce about the good times with Paul. The old loggers have long since gone, but many of their stories still hang frozen in the brisk forest air of the North Woods, just waiting patiently to be unveiled. Come spring, when they start to thaw, some of them might just start telling themselves it's been known to happen.
Take a bow. Take a bow. Good job, guys.